Sarah isn't here. She's always late. Oh my god, I'm a girl. I take a lot of time to do my makeup. Oh my goodness.
Hello everyone. Welcome to 1320. The coolest hangout for you. What are you still doing here? I'm scared of it.
I am scared, but then I'm not scared of you. I have courage, people.
Welcome to 1320. We're so excited to have you here today.
Okay, I'm a bit. Yeah.
He's scared, guys. He doesn't want to admit it, but he's scared. I scared him.
Look at me.
I scared him. I scared him. He just doesn't want to admit it. But thank you so much for coming and joining us.
Again.
Again, as you always do. Because you know we're friends. At this point in time, we have a rapport. You know, we talk, you listen.
And finally, I can get to say this without Sarah having like any objection. I'm happy to see your smiling faces. Potato, potato, tomato, tomato. Welcome.
Welcome to 1320. Welcome to 1320.
That is good.
Yeah, I would say like, I'm sorry for the weirdness, but we are nothing but weird. So, welcome to 1320, the coolest hangout for youth and teens. I am Sarah Mudera.
I am Joseph Rafiki. I'll stay with 2 names.
There we go. And today we're going to be talking about...
Yes, we're going to be talking about a special thing. It's
a special thing?
Yes. We are beginning a new, how do you call it, a series. And this is just chapter 1 or episode 1 for those people who watch series. The pilot episode.
This is the pilot.
And it is called Fear to Faith. Hallelujah. Amen.
Amen, sorry.
Yes. Now you can take over, Sasha.
So we're going to be talking about fear. What is fear to you? What is that?
That's fear.
You literally did nothing. You just did this.
Yeah. I didn't make that face. Anyway, fear is... The last time I tried defining something, I ended up defining the opposite. I'll let Sarah define this one. This one.
I remember that. Y'all remember faith? Faith as fear. Anyway, fear is... Wasn't it this exact thing where we're talking about fear?
Yeah, we were talking about fear.
We're talking about fear.
Fear is the absence of...
Yeah, fear is the absence... No, you said faith is the absence of courage.
Oh.
You said faith is the absence of courage, and I agreed with you.
Welcome to planet Earth.
So. We don't know what we're saying. But anyway, fear is... what are the synonyms for fear? Terrified, scared. Those are not synonyms. Those are verbs.
Things.
Fear is... Actually, yeah, there's no synonyms. It's being terrified, being scared, being afraid, being fearful. Being
overwhelmed by your... I was supposed to say outstanding...
What?
I was supposed to say outstanding external situations, but then that was too much English.
No, but that's good.
Being
overwhelmed by outstanding... What?
Yes.
Outstanding external situations. Very nice, very nice. That's what fear is. And the Bible talks a lot about fear. And it talks a lot about how, you know, we should fear not. I mean, there's so many verses that say fear not or do not be afraid. I don't know how many there are.
I know how many there are. I was waiting for that.
Okay.
Anyway, there are 365 specific phrases in the Bible that have the words fear not together. That means one thing. Each and every single day of the year, fear not.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Wake up every single morning and just remember that somewhere in the Bible you're being told to fear not, to not be afraid. But there's a specific verse we're going to read today, which our dear friend Joseph Rafiki will be reading for us. Matthew chapter 14. And I don't know what verses we're reading from, so why don't you enlighten us?
Tusome. Katika kitabu cha Matthew 14:22-33, immediately Jesus made the disciples get into a boat and go on ahead of him to the other side. While he dismissed the crowd, after he had dismissed them, he went up on a mountainside by himself to pray. Later that night, he was alone, and the boat was already a considerable distance from land. Buffeted. Hey,
What?
Buffeted by the waves, as in
buffet,
yes,
like buffet.
Come a hot dog giving. By the waves, because the wind was against it. Shortly before dawn, Jesus went out to them, walking on the lake. This was cool. When the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified, as what Sarah said. It's a ghost, they said, and cried out in fear. Terrified fear in one sentence. But Jesus immediately said to them, "Take courage, don't be afraid." This is one of the verses. "Lord, if it's you," Peter replied, "tell me to come to you on the water." "Come," he said. Then Peter got out of the boat and walked on the water and came toward Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried out, "Lord, save me." Immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. "You of little faith, my boy." Okay, he didn't say my boy. "Why did you doubt?" And when they climbed into the boat, the wind died down. Then those who were in the boat worshipped him, saying, "Truly, you are the Son of God." Period.
Heard. Sorry. Yeah. So as you've seen, we already have a verse for today that's telling us not to be afraid, to fear not, to take courage. The first point for today's conversation will be what?
Yeah.
Will be
You have a first point there.
The first point for today will be fear. My guy, help me out here.
Fear.
Fear.
It's your point.
I'm trying to remember and I need your help.
Let me jog your memory.
Fear.
He said, "Take courage, do not be afraid."
Yeah. Fear.
This is exactly what you're talking about. Fear leads to confusion.
Fear leads to confusion, but faith leads to clarity. That's not what it says.
God.
That's not what it says. Fear leads to confusion, but faith leads to courage. See, I was close. I said clarity. And you can't have courage without, well, you can. But it's important to have clarity within your courage. Anyway, so fear leads to confusion and faith leads to courage. Now, when we're talking about confusion, it's very much clouded thoughts, clouded judgment. It's kind of like how when Peter was walking on water, he was fine because he had clarity. You see guys? Anyway, he was walking on water, and so there was clarity. He had courage. He was good. He was fine. Then he started seeing the winds, the water, the clouds up above. I mean, I'm sure it was like dark and stormy, and he was just like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna die," and that caused confusion in his brain. Like his senses were all muddled. And what happened? He started drowning because he lost courage, because he lost clarity, because he was confused. And that's what fear does to you.
Yes, he saw the buffet of water in the boat.
And he was like, "Ooh, ooh.
This is too much for me to handle.
I can't keep being food, guys. I can't."
Ocean is here. Wind is passing. Boat is there. Jesus is there.
Up there is the clouds.
Yes, clouds. It's
just...
I don't think that's what you was thinking. But,
but it's confusion, you
understand. Look at his outstanding external
circumstances. What?
The waves were there. See the waves. That is supposed to now like okay. See, you know what happens when you throw a stone into water? That
That what? Make that sound again, please.
Yes, these were big waves, like actual waves that could crush a man. I saw something like that. He
doesn't know, but he thinks so.
I saw something like that in National Geographic. Waves that can crush a man. Yes. And he looked at the surrounding and he was like, "I am in the middle of death." Because he could drown.
Yep.
The boat could knock him or something. He could be carried away by the wind if it was that strong.
Could be struck by lightning.
And he didn't see that right in front of him was Jesus, the guy who he's been with, and he's seen countless miracles done by that same guy. And
also Jesus was walking on water, so you know.
When he saw all this weirdness going on around him, he lost the faith, he lost the courage, and he started to sink. But then, what's interesting is that he redeemed himself, because he knew that if there's one person that can save him, it's Jesus. And he was like, Lord, save me.
Help me.
Immediately. Oh, it's like he was just right there. Akamushika mukono. Like, get up, my boy. Then he threw him inside. Okay, I don't know if he threw him, but they got into the boat.
They got into the boat.
So you see that confusion that he had, like waves, wind, clouds. Okay, I don't know. Wait, did you even think about the clouds?
We don't know, but he was confused.
Okay, waves, wind, clouds. Too much for me.
Yeah.
Then you start.
And also, he's never walked on water before.
If you think of it this way, this is Peter, this is the water, this is confusion, this is Jesus. Jesus is there. So Peter did not just see this; he saw what was happening around him, and this happened. This is a very weird analogy, but I know when you watch this, you'll actually understand, and you will remember this. That in our day-to-day life, we are surrounded by things that seem to be against us.
All the time.
And most of the times
things
we can't.
Things
that are buffeting us. And most of the time we can't do anything about it really. But we can. But we can just trust in Jesus, and well, first he died for us.
Faith.
He died for us. That's thing number one, to show that he loves us no matter what. Imagine dying for somebody. Number two, he gave us the Holy Spirit to guide us through, who also intercedes in prayer. That's a story for another day.
So how Number three?
Number three, he gave us gifts of the Holy Spirit. And faith is one of them.
Are you sure?
I think.
It's not. No, think about it.
Okay, it's not.
It's what?
Check it. Before Sarah came, I was actually on a roll, but now she's my outstanding external condition. You should know that faith. You should know that faith is key in our day-to-day life, like as a person and as a Christian. Because let's say
you can be a Christian, that's not a person.
Well,
you think monkeys can be Christians?
You can be a person and not a person, okay?
Yeah.
So let's say for the teenagers, most of you are in school. You haven't studied for the test. I'm not saying this is something that you should do
at all,
but
because
pray.
faith without works is dead.
Yes, but pray. Something can happen. Instead of you getting a 0, you get a 2. That's important. although you haven't like done anything that significant, but your 2 is also encouragement that you remembered something although you didn't study. Now imagine if you studied.
Look at that. Wow. What's the next point?
The next point. Sarah, these are usually your points.
These are not my points.
Yeah, points.
The next point is faith sees impossible circumstances. Fear sees impossible circumstances, but faith sees the God of possibilities. And I really like this point because this is something I can relate to greatly. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm a scaredy cat, but I'm a scaredy cat. And there's a lot of, don't touch me. There's a lot of things that don't touch me. There's a lot of things that don't.
There are a lot of things that don't touch her.
There's a lot of things that scare me. And it's something I'm working on because a lot of it is what people call irrational fears. So it's like, why are you scared? That's not even a thing. And so something I started doing in my own life is just thinking, like whenever I feel really anxious and afraid about something or the circumstance of something that's happening, I always ask myself, what is the actual worst case scenario? And a lot of times in our life, the irrational fears we have, the worst case scenario would be somebody says no. So if you're scared of asking someone to help you with something, or you're scared of going for an event, like genuinely the worst case scenario in a lot of those situations is somebody says no, or you go somewhere and you're a little bit uncomfortable, or like, you know what, it's such small things, but we make fear such this like big thing in our life that it stops us from doing the things that make us happy, from going after things that could change our lives. And like, I remember there's this saying for you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So if you're sitting there being like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna do that, you've lost it. Like, you've basically given yourself a no. For example, if it's an audition, or if you're trying to get ahead in class or in school or something, just by sitting back and doing nothing because you're afraid of the outcome, you've already created the outcome for yourself. So yeah, and that reminds me of a movie that I love very much. It's called SpiderMan Into the Spiderverse. And in that movie, can I spoil it? Yeah, if you haven't watched it by now, there's a problem with you. So in the movie, there's like multiple Spider-Man, obviously. And so the oldest Spider-Man says to like the newest Spider-Man, he's like, it's a leap of faith. Like, it really is a leap of faith. And so in like the climax of the movie, this newest Spider-Man jumps off a building. And the significance,
in awesome slow motion.
It's really great. It's really awesome. But the coolest thing about it was that so his, what's it called, his sticky fingers, yeah. His sticky fingers always prevented him from throughout the movie you see them preventing him from being efficient at his work. Like, he would stick onto the ceiling and not be able to come down until he's singing Sunflower by Post Malone. And so like that was a thing. And so in the climax of the movie, even as he jumps off, the animators like show glass breaking from the building, because as much as he was taking a leap of faith, he was still scared. Like, sometimes it's not, the leap of faith isn't necessarily like, oh yeah, I have no fear whatsoever. It's not the absence of fear. There's nobody who's 100% courageous in anything they do. But the thing is to do it despite the fear. It's to go past that fear and be like, you know what, I'm still gonna do this. And that's what happened. He jumped, glass broke off, and that was obviously signifying that he was still afraid, but he still jumped. And the movie ends really greatly because he did that. And so that's what that is, you know. Don't let the impossible circumstances in your own head stop you from living a really fulfilling life simply because you saw an opportunity and you didn't take it, because you've stopped yourself from having the opportunity just by sitting back and doing nothing.
In short, what Sarah is saying is, be a Spider-Man, but just don't jump from buildings.
Just don't jump from buildings. That I would not recommend. Would not recommend that.
But also, when you think of this leap of faith, let's take, okay, Spider-Man is like awesome and relatable, but let's take a bird that is well, also relatable to most people, and is and is thought of to be the mightiest of them all.
The eagle,
yes, the eagle. Now when the baby eagle, National Geographic, thank you. When the baby eagle wants to fly, it just doesn't fly like that, like, hey, today I'm just going to fly and here goes. No.
Yeah.
The mother takes it high into the sky and lets it go. That falling brings, like, it wakes the senses of the baby, and like, okay,
instinct.
if I don't fly,
I fall.
Splat. And that's like training. You train yourself. Now let's take it in this situation. I don't know who is our mother eagle, but we are all baby eagles.
God is our mother eagle.
Okay, God is our mother eagle. He will take us into situations that we think are a bit too extreme for us.
Yeah.
But it's up to us to know that if we don't do this, okay, I can't say splat. But splat. So in a situation like that, let me think of an example. Okay, so let's say you're in school and you have, let me use just the most general example, a test or an exam for those people like us, exams. And you see, like, throughout the year or throughout the semester or the term, you've been getting around C and
B minus.
And C minus. B minus is something before somebody else. And then you're like, okay, I have studied. Let's say this is like the end year test. I have studied. And if I let all this fear of I don't know how I'll do, I don't know how I'll perform, if I'll fail math, oh my goodness, especially math, I've been failing.
Yeah.
That is, okay, that is something that also brings that thing inside us where we see as if nothing else matters apart from our failure. You know, there are people who actually think of it that way, because they think if I get a B in math, people will be like, oh yeah, okay, that's cool. If I get an, I'm going to use both sides. If I get an E or F in math, everybody's going to laugh at me. But then, think of it this way. You don't need people to tell you, hey, that's good, because you know whatever you've done is good enough, and whatever you've done will actually contribute to something else, let's say if you're in Form 4 or Class 8. And that leap, it's an inward leap of faith. It's not like you actually jumping. It's an inward leap of faith where you think of, although yes, I have not been performing that well, I know that this time things are going to be different. I am going to make it. And you telling yourself you're going to make it is way more empowering than somebody else telling you that. Okay, it depends on the person telling you that. Imagine Captain America telling you you're going to make it. Where? Or Optimus Prime, imagine. But that will actually help you in conquering your fear. It starts from within you, going outwards. And I think I have exhausted my point of the baby eagle that turned into a student.
Yeah, yes, you have. Good job.
Thank you.
Very well done.
Thank
Very
you.
well done. Very well done.
Arigato.
So yeah, that I know this was it feels like it was a bit short, but that's genuinely it. You know, this is the beginning, this is the introduction. We're easing you into this, yeah. We're gonna seriously tackle some things, yeah. But this is just the introduction. This is a little taste, an appetizer. Those are all the words I can think of.
Entree.
Entree is the main meal.
Entree ya kujua mambo ya kiroho.
So yeah, we hope you guys are excited. We hope you guys are ready. Yeah, this week, do one thing that scares you. Just one thing. Just one thing that scares. No, obviously not like death. Like, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about like death or anything.
She's not telling you to go and catch a bullet.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm saying those irrational fears like I talked about, where you want to talk to somebody or you want to go, you want to try something new, like do something that scares you this week. Just one thing. And yeah, feel free to report back next week. Am I gonna do it? Probably not, but you guys should. But you guys absolutely should. Yeah, and we'll continue the series, and we will tackle fears, rational ones especially, because like there's rational ones and then there's irrational ones. Spiders, that's rational. Okay, don't let anybody lie to you. But yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much for joining us.
Before she signs out, nimekumbuka kitu about fear. Whatever she was saying, do something that you fear. Do something that you fear. Let's say, for example, you are, let me use the photography side for the photographers watching. You know you've been using your phone throughout, and you really want to dive into this world of photography. It's mwah. But then you're like, I know somebody has a camera, but nah,
I ain't gonna. That, you see, that.
Just
do
ask.
That.
Just
do
ask.
something that scares you. Yeah.
Just ask, like, oh
yeah, can I borrow, please?
Can I just, even if it's like for half a day or something.
Just a day.
Yeah. And then you start getting used to it. You also, oh my goodness, conquering fear brings out new experiences. This should be the third point.
Yeah.
Wow.
There we go.
Oh.
Conquering fear brings new experiences. Oh. There you go.
I really wish I could.
Do you want us to tell you anything else? There's nothing else to say.
That's it.
That's it. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah. I'm serious. You're welcome. Like,
thank us later.
Yeah, please. So do something that scares you, have a new experience, and report back next week. Thank you so much for watching. We love talking to you, and we love talking to one another. We will see you next Sunday. Bye.
Peace.
Oh gosh, courage. What makes a king out of a slave? Courage. What makes the flag on a mast to wave? Courage. What makes the elephant charge his tusk in the misty mist of the dusky dusk? Courage. What makes the muskrat guard his musk? Courage. What? Okay, I can't remember the rest. Oh yes. What makes the Sphinx the seventh wonder? Courage. What makes the dawn come up like thunder? Courage. What makes the Hottentot so hot? What puts the egg in apricot? What have they got that I ain't got? Courage. Thank you so much for watching Cartoon Trends.
Apricot, to tot. We'll see you next week like a robot.
Remember to have courage.